How about this? A radical opinion from one part of the climate science community. Carbon dioxide, CO2, should not be labeled a pollutant. The professor who holds that opinion joins us now. NYU Stern adjunct professor Paul Tice is with us. So you say, do not label CO2s as a pollutant. Are they not a pollutant?
What I'm saying, and actually this is in response to Donald Trump's actions earlier this week on climate change, which in my view are superficial. It's a first good step, but it really ignores the elephant in the room. If you are serious about climate change regulations being rolled back permanently, if that is the goal, then you really need to address the endangerment finding, which the Obama administration rolled out very quickly in the first year of its administration.
Okay, now, wait a second. Are you saying that CO2, carbon dioxide, is not a pollutant, that it doesn't damage our climate, doesn't damage the planet and damage the atmosphere? Is that what you're saying?
That is what I am saying, and I think the process...
How much of that opinion is shared by the rest of the climate science community?
Probably not at all.
Right.
I should qualify. I've spent my entire career on Wall Street. I've been in the energy sector for 20 years. I am not a climate scientist.
Oh, so what you're saying is, if you really want to get to grips with combating the climate science departments, you've got to roll back the idea that CO2s are a pollutant. That's what it's an administrative change that you've got to make if you want to go after the Paris Climate Accord, for example.
Yes, or if you want to look at the Clean Power Plan, or if you want to look at the original rule that precluded basically building any new coal power plants.
What's been the reaction when you say this kind of thing? You're not going to be a very popular guy.
I would say that 90% of the responses have been favorable, and then 10% have been kind of nasty grams.
Really?
In that category.
Have you still got a job?
Yes, I still have a job, actually. NYU Stern is probably one of the last refuges, safe places.
Well, it's just fascinating to me that we were always told, oh, the science is in. CO2s are a pollutant. We've got to cut down on emissions. This is what we've got to do. No argument about it whatsoever. But along comes President Trump and Scott Pruitt at the EPA, and they're completely reversing that. Are you on board with a complete reversal of climate policy?
I'm not necessarily agreeing that they have stated that they want to completely reverse that. I think Tuesday's actions, it's a mixed message. We still haven't heard anything about the Paris Agreement, whether we stay in that or not, and there have been...
Do you want to roll it back?
I think that we have not had a public discussion about man-made climate change and whether carbon and other greenhouse gases are causing that man-made climate change. And we cannot have that conversation in the Congress. Obviously, that is not the right place to do it. It's become such a political discussion. The EPA, given their technical background, I think is probably the closest we will come to an organized public debate. And I think in the first year that the endangerment rule was rolled out and carbon dioxide was labeled a pollutant, there were a number of problems, I think, with that process. It was rushed. The actual source research that they used, we have 10 more years now of information. We have 10 more years of climate models misfiring. And I think we need to look at it with fresh eyes. Probably Scott Pruitt is the best set of fresh eyes because he comes at it apparently from a more skeptical view, which I think is probably the right approach. So if the Trump campaign administration is serious about making permanent change around the climate change bureaucracy, they really need to address and revisit this rule.
Professor, we're going to take a sound bite from what you just said and probably run it throughout the next 2.5 hours on this program.
Okay.
Great stuff.
Just don't give my home address.
Are you kidding? Professor, it was a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Good stuff.